to turn now to the extensive financial problems brewing across the country for America's working women, facing so many challenges, what some economists are now calling the she-cession. The latest now from ABC's Andrew Dymburt.
It was just overwhelming, extremely overwhelming.
Chicago's VONDETTA Taylor is a single mother trying to make it work, but she's just one of the many women hit hardest by COVID-19.
2020 forced me to have to make hard decisions, and I chose my family. I'm a single mom, and there isn't anyone in the household with me to kind of put this off on or to share the responsibility. So I had to step up and make that hard decision, and here we are.
If you go to the beginning of
when her son's school shut down, like many mothers across the country, she was forced to choose between childcare and career. VONDETTA says when the nonprofit she worked for demanded more work than she could do in a day while juggling childcare, she lost her job.
So I've been trying to keep us afloat, barely. As you well know, the unemployment system is just bombarded. So it's months before I received anything, and by then my savings have been depleted.
Florida's Jackie Freeze lost her job in the pandemic. The timing couldn't have been worse.
Well, it's been definitely terrible. Right before the lockdown happened, my mom passed away from lung cancer on March 14th. And then it was not too long after that, maybe a week, the lockdown happened. And I got laid off from both of my jobs. Was out of work for about 7 months.
Jackie worked in restaurants. The food service and hospitality industries, both dominated by women, were gutted by the economic devastation from COVID-19. Paying the bills and raising a child with schools and aftercare programs shuttered left Jackie and so many others with very little options.
I made sure that my daughter had her schoolwork done, and, she got on her own. She did really great. But then aside from schoolwork, it was like, let mommy lay back down. Here's the tablet, We couldn't really do anything because my boyfriend, he was working from home. So our living room was his office. So we were basically stuck in a room for most of the time.
Nearly 2.2 million women have left the labor force since February. And in September, 1.1 million workers over the age of 20 were laid off, quit, or furloughed. Out of those, 865,000 were women, some 80% of the total number of workers to drop out of the labor force. Put simply, women lost their jobs at a rate 4 times more than men. Economists are calling this troubling trend a she-cession, a recession that's disproportionately affecting women.
They're more likely to be in sectors that have been unemployed, and they are facing a huge amount of caregiving burden.
Melissa Boteach is the Vice President of Income Security and Child Care at the National Women's Law Center. She says the stress and burden many working women face is nothing new, but has been magnified in the face of COVID-19, and there just isn't enough help.
We have bailed out corporations, but we haven't really bailed out the childcare sector. And without an investment in childcare to the tune of at least $50 billion, we're not going to have a sector to come back to. And there is no economic recovery without childcare.
More troubling, the lopsided impact the she-cession is having on women of color.
When you look at where we were before the pandemic, it's not as if the status quo was rosy. You had higher poverty rates for women. You had large gender and racial wage gaps. You had people without health insurance or paid sick days. All of that made us more vulnerable to a global health pandemic.
As for VONDETTA and Jackie, they're learning to make do and power ahead for themselves and their families, both finding work where they can and raising their children in an uncertain future clouded by the virus. They're carrying the world on their shoulders, but want others to know they're not alone.
We're all gonna come through it. And again, we're all stressed out. We're all just, shorted in different ways. To the mom that's crying in the shower, you're gonna be okay.
My message would be just stay strong. Just stay strong. It's definitely difficult, for sure, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It may not seem like there is right now, but it will get better.
Andrew Dymburt, ABC News in Washington.
All right, thanks to our Andrew for that. It's up next here on GMA 3.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.